Good morning and welcome to Local Business Focus. I'm Sally Barker. Joining us on the show today is Peter Trenaman from Groupsupport, proud station sponsor. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Sally. How are you this morning?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Lovely. Yes. Excellent, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming to the end of our series of talks, and part of me is looking forward to that because although it's been hard work and it's been very pleasant, speaking with you each morning, each Friday morning, it's also the strain of actually thinking about new things to talk about.
Yes.
And ways to actually invigorate people to explore IT, to technology, to adopt the right things for themselves, to look at new ways of doing the same things and to look at the same way of doing different things. One of the things we're talking about today is how to secure it all.
Yes, securing your IT.
Keep it all in place.
Yes.
There's ways to do it. One of the clients I have likes to use duct tape and just attaches things to laptops or projectors. We have a projector in our office with a chain on it, and the chain is attached to the cords that go in the unit because it's transported so often. If we don't remember the cords, we get very frustrated. So what we've done is we've superglued a small chain to the bottom of the projector and superglued the chain to the cords. So one can't leave the other. They can be unplugged and all that. That's a bit extreme, and it's a real techie sort of make do.
Yeah, make do, some super glue.
But it's not what is the right way to do it? What's the best way of doing it? You can buy a Kensington Lock. Now, a Kensington Lock is typically one that attaches to a desk and fits into a little port in your laptop or your mobile device. And it's a very high tensile titanium insert that expands and fills up the little gap, securing your device to your desk or wherever you've secured the Kensington Lock to. Very simple thing. Quite often they've got a combination lock so that you don't need a key. And it's a fairly quick release process. People find that very, very, very good. I have recorded instances where one of my clients, Frank, he has a long office and a door at one end of his office and the front, which is the back door. And people have walked in the front door, walked straight through the office, picked up a couple of laptops as they've walked through and kept walking out the back door, never to be seen again. And so Kensington Lock is one of those ways that you could have the units available to staff, but still secure.
Does he now have Kensington Locks?
Frank was a very good customer that week.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Bought half a dozen or so Kensington Locks.
Yeah.
People also use barricades so that people can't walk through that. Baby gates are good to keep kids out of your office. Locks, secure locks on doors and servers with passkeys. Limited access to different areas of your IT and your rooms within your business are another way of doing it. Separating the actual servers out into a different room altogether or a different building altogether or putting them in the cloud. And there's still a server in the cloud. I mean, the cloud isn't no machinery. The cloud is just a centralised place for machinery. So by putting the servers in a hosted area, so it is essentially on the cloud, means that the number of people who can access that is far less. So it's another way of securing your IT, securing your technology. Because people can still access a machine, but the number of people is far less, and so the qualifications for those people can be ramped up, or the qualification requirements for those people can be ramped up. We also experience a fair bit of trouble when clients have Excel spreadsheets and physical databases that are able to be copied onto portable devices, USB drives and things, and removed. There's plenty of theft in that way, and ways to get around that are to use SQL databases.
What's SQL?
SQL is a structured query language, and it's an engine-driven database, which means it's not based upon a file, so to speak. So someone who's looking for the database can't actually find something specific to take. that have to copy everything into a spreadsheet or from a page that's on in front of them. It's not something you can actually just copy the whole lot and you've got the entire database. It's one way of preventing theft. It's also preventing version contention. Version contention is where you have two files that are almost the same, one with an edit and one with not. Have you ever had two files, one at work and one at home, where you've been playing with a story you're writing if you're a journalist, or a list of addresses for your invitations, and you've made a change on one sheet and not a change on the other, and you're not keeping the version numbers concurrent. Sorry, not keeping the versions concurrent. So your version is in a contended state. So there's a difference.
Yes.
So two files, they're named the same, which are different.
Yes.
That's another way of preventing and securing your IT, is using versions, file naming conventions and versions, so that you can go back and track what you've edited. When you're using SQL-based databases and interfaces that are backing onto an SQL database, you quite often have transaction logs and change logs, which means that you can track who's changed what. And I spoke some time ago about one of my clients, Frank, who had a bookkeeper who stole money from them by changing the bank account details of the suppliers in their database, paying the suppliers, and then changing the bank account numbers back. The bank account number she changed it to was hers. So the money that she paid supplier X went to her bank account.
Wow.
So the boss thought supplier X had been paid and was looking at all the paperwork to say, yes, it has been, but the money's gone to their bookkeeper.
Wow.
She got found out in the end,
Yeah.
but it took them a while because they had no transparency and no change log to say, you changed and then changed it back.
So how much would she have taken from the business?
In that case, $42,000.
Of what period?
About a year.
Oh, gosh.
So she's garnishing her own wages, and in the end she was sacked, obviously, and proceedings were taken against her. The point is that the whole thing could have been preventable with some more controls.
Right. What sort of controls could you have put in there?
We would have changed them over to an SQL database with changelog, and then made sure the process was that the boss does the transaction in the bank account, she prepares it.
Right.
So there's two sides to that, and using technology to do both to make sure that the actual transaction is separated out into the individual components that form part of it, with the security appropriate to each part of that transaction. So only the boss should have access to the bank, and the bookkeeper have access to all the bookkeeping software and the actual paperwork that surrounds that. So then there's an actual check. That's a smart use of business process, and the technology of the banks lends itself to that because you pass through an ABA file, which is the Australian Banking Association. It's a standard agreed format of payees' details, bank details, and the amounts you're paying them, and then as a total, which bank account this amount, the total amount, is coming out of. That file can be passed to anybody who's authorised to upload it into a bank, and it's good for any bank. That's technology. When we talk about backups, we often talk about having a second copy of things, so that if you do delete something, if you change something inadvertently, if you overwrite one thing with another, you've got a backup. So that's another way of securing your IT. Now, of course, a backup isn't very good if it's right next to the original. And I recently had a client who they got the crypto lock, a ransomware infection on their machine. The backup drive that they used, and they religiously backed it up every day, was still connected to their machine. So that got blasted as well. So they lost everything. They lost the lot.
Wow.
So that's the business.
Yeah.
So they spent the best part of 2 weeks just rekeying as much as they could remember back in. Now, they will have lost something. They will have not remembered everything. But what do you do if you haven't got those things in place? What are you doing securing your IT?
Wow.
Yes, terrific.
Yeah.
And lying in bed some nights, I don't know what I'd do if that was me. You just go away and just start bushwalking.
Well, you would.
Yeah.
After a big cry. Oh my gosh. I mean, some people on, some groups I'm a member of, they ask similar questions, and, people say just email all your documents to yourself. Just keep emailing.
Yeah, that's really good. But where's your email server?
Well, exactly. Exactly.
And how big is the capacity of your email server?
Mm-hmm.
Now, my email server is in my office. It's right next to my SQL server. It's right next to my file server. So emailing myself is completely useless.
Mm.
Absolutely no help at all.
Mm.
I have my backups 10 kilometres away. My backups for work are at home. They're transmitted over the internet securely to a backup drive, to a NAS, a network accessible storage. We spoke about that some time ago.
We did.
2 disks in a box, sitting on a UPS, which is an uninterruptible power supply. It's a battery backup for the NAS, and it's connected to my modem. And that backs up every night. I have another one, goes to my business partner. So we have 2 copies of the same data that leave the office every night. Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
Yeah.
If I'm using the cloud, the email in the cloud, sure, that makes sense too. But if I've got some things that are secure, or some things that have prudential regulations that say they can't be kept out of the state or out of Australia, then I'm breaking the law by sending it on an email.
Mm.
I can't send someone's credit card details on an email to Google.
No.
It's actually breaking the law.
Yeah.
But people just don't police that or forget about that conveniently because it's convenient.
Yes.
There's different ways. We're talking about what you can do, what applies to you.
Yeah.
And of course you're a professional, the IT person that you go to, the person who doesn't always agree with you. We've spoken about this bloke, this woman many times.
Telling you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. That's right.
And provoking you to have the discussion, to think about different things, to think about what's good for you. And not necessarily everything is good for you, which is why I'm just going through a list of the stuff. Endpoint security is a hot topic, and it means to have an antivirus or internet protection software to ward off and warn you when you have infections, viruses, ransomware, those things, when you're going to inappropriate sites, which are used for phishing, and that's phishing with a PH, which means collecting data in an unauthorised manner. It's a lot like phishing, which is why it's a, what's the word for something that sounds the same as it is? Is synonym, is it? Simile. My apologies, simile.
No, that's okay. Don't apologise.
You're the expert in the English language. But it's phishing with a PH. It's a lot like phishing with an F. Because what you're doing is taking information, you're collecting things, just like you're hopefully collecting fish when you put it right in the water and some bait. But endpoint security is something that sits on your machine, and the paid versions is something that we provide to our clients, and any reputable IT company will do the same. $5 a month a machine will get you covered for something that's monitored, it's up to date, it's secure, it does its best to stop you. Now you can always get around it because it will say, do you want to continue? Okay. Sometimes that's a bit foolish, but the point is it's warned you.
Yes, I'm quite foolish. Remind me later.
Okay, and last of all, your passwords. Make sure you change your passwords on a reasonably regular basis. I like to use that number, that magic answer to life, the universe, and everything from Hitchhiker's Guide, which is 42. I like to use that for the amount of days for each change of password.
All right.
Okay, it's a nice number to remember. But changing the password is a point, so that it's never the same for 6 or 12 months at a time. And don't write it down, please. Anyway, there are a couple of little tips for securing your IT.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Local Business Focus. Peter Trenaman from Groupsupport, proud station sponsor.
Thanks for having me.